Hello friends, today I wanted to talk about sort of my music journey, my journey with music, and why I think that you need to break out of your bubble, and I'll explain what that means. What I want to start by saying is that I find that most people engage with music on a very surface level way. It's just sort of background for them. It's not something that they're engaging with on a deeply emotional level. And this video is not really for that type of person. And I don't want to hate on that type of person. You know, to each their own. Everyone has their thing, right? Music isn't everyone's thing. That's okay. But I know a lot of people out there who do deeply engage with the music that they enjoy. And those people, I commonly find that many of them are trapped in a bubble where they have the artists that they like and that they enjoy, and they don't really go beyond that. They don't really try to explore and find new stuff. And essentially, they don't try to challenge their music taste at all. And that's essential to music exploration. And because for me, my music journey has been just so... Exploring new music for me is like one of the greatest joys in life. It's truly like finding something new that blows you away is just such a good feeling. And I do think I'm different than the average person in the sense that I get really tired of things really quickly. I cannot listen to like a song or an album over and over, even, sometimes even more than like twice, or I will get tired of it. So I am constantly on the prowl for new stuff, and I'm constantly listening to new stuff. Every week I'm listening to music that I had not listened to before. That's just the way I go about things. You do not have to be like that. That's completely fine. Again, everyone is different. But I do think that music exploration is super important and super rewarding. And so I really, it makes me sad to see people who are just stuck listening to the same stuff over and over, and you're not, and especially people who reject things and just say, that's not for me. Because while, if you listen to a lot of music, and I think I've listened to a lot of music, I'm at the point where I feel like I can pretty reasonably say what is my thing and what's not my thing. Even then, I do not readily reject things unless they are stuff that I have routinely come back to and still not enjoyed. An example would be like pop rap. I've listened to enough pop rap to know that it's not my thing. But what I find is that people reject stuff like more extreme genres even, and they've barely listened to that much music, and you really, it's just, you have to be more open-minded about these sort of things. And I'll sort of go on with an anecdote here, sort of about where I got started. I mean, it was back in high school where I really started to discover more new music. I really tried to push my boundaries. I really tried to listen to stuff that I did not initially like, or that I initially put off. And that's very, essential to me. My favorite album now is Highway 61 by Bob Dylan. And perhaps I'll talk about my favorite albums in another video. But that album is my favorite album of all time. And Bob Dylan is my favorite artist of all time. And before I liked Bob Dylan, I didn't even like folk music. I just didn't think it was my thing at all. But the more I listened to it, and the more I specifically found my niche, the type of folk music that I specifically liked, the more I started to love it. And at first, I wasn't crazy about Bob Dylan. I think Highway 61 might have been the first album I listened to from him, and it really wasn't my favorite thing. I kind of enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite thing. But over time, it really grew on me. And so I would not be at the place that I am right now if I had not intentionally tried to push myself and intentionally tried to listen to stuff that I may not have initially been very accepting of. And really what I'm not saying here is I don't want you to force yourself to listen to things that you hate or that you don't care for at all. What I mean is just give things a chance. Open your mind to things and be ready for things that might not sound exactly like what you're used to. And if things don't click for you at first, I encourage you to just give it some time, because some things just have to come into your life at the right time and have to connect with you at the right moment, especially with music. I find that even just the specific mood that I'm in at any particular moment can influence the way that I engage with something and the way that I appreciate something. I've found that I've listened to something one day, and the next day or the next week I'll listen to it in a different mood and completely change my opinion on it. And another thing that I want to sort of put out there is that what's been really essential to my music journey this entire time is Album of the Year, the website. I mean, I love reviewing things in general. I review movies on Letterboxd. I did that long before I got into music, but once I started getting into music, I found out about Album of the Year and as a way to review music, and I really, really latched onto it and have been doing that for a bit now, and it's been extremely enjoyable. Rate Your Music is also in fact, a more popular music reviewing website. I prefer Album of the Year because I like the UI more and I like the rating system more, especially. I just like out of 100 instead of the star system. And that's just my thing. You can use Rate Your Music all you want. I don't harbor any, ill feelings towards Rate Your Music listeners. Especially because I think that Rate Your Music and Album of the Year both get kind of a bad rap for like the culture, and it's just like, who cares? I don't engage with people on Rate Your Music or Album of the Year or really the culture at all within these websites. I just use it for my own enjoyment. I just use it as a way to log the albums that I've listened to and make lists and stuff like that. So you can engage with these websites however you want to engage with them. So I encourage you not to just like put them off just because you've heard bad things about them. It's fun to review music. It's fun to engage with music in that way, I think. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And generally, or like genuinely, it's a very good way to discover new genres and new artists, because these websites have lots of great lists, lots of great user lists, and lots of great specific genres that you can dive into and see the highest rated albums from those genres and sort of explore those and see if you like them. And it's a very, very easy to use, accessible way to discover new music. And so I highly encourage it just for that purpose. And I also find that I know that there's a lot of sort of negativity around the like RYM Top 100 or these sort of highly rated albums on these sites. But I find that most of them are highly rated for a good reason. People like this music for a good reason. Probably because it's good. That's not all of these things are going to click with you. That's not the case all of the time, but I don't like the idea of just rejecting ratings entirely, because I find, again, that things are highly rated most of the time for very good reasons. And so at the very least, it's beneficial to give those things a try and see if you like it, and to not put it off immediately, because some things you may listen to them and you'll be like, why do people like this? But I've been through that, and I've listened to a lot of music where I am initially like, this is but I think, yeah, people like this for a reason. There must be something about this that clicks with people. And I gave it a second chance, and I started to sort of see what the purpose of it was. And again, it's just about giving things a chance, being open-minded about things, and just understanding that is a key part of the music journey and of exploring new music. If you really want to explore new music, and I highly encourage you to do that, because it is a very rewarding process, you just have to be open-minded. You have to be more open-minded than you are right now. And there's a lot of great ways to explore new music. I mean, I would suggest just going to like a record store and just asking people what their favorite artists are, what they suggest, I mean, because a lot of the people there might know a lot more about music or about certain music genres than you do. So talking to people who know a little bit more than you is also a great way to get great suggestions. And a big way that I started discovering music is just listening to stuff that looks cool, like the album cover. Listen to stuff with cool album covers, and it might not be a hit all the time, but you might stumble across some gems. So I encourage that as well. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video to celebrate music exploration, discovering new stuff. It's really great. Go out there, listen to some music, and I'll see you in the next video.